Hi. Okay. Tell me if this describes your child. When they are doing homework or reading a book with you or coloring in a picture, the minute something goes wrong, the minute they color outside the lines or they can't get the right word or they miss their math problem, they shut down. Maybe the picture gets crumpled up, maybe they close the book, they're just down and out and not interested in keeping and trying. When they go to soccer practice and they don't get the turn that they wanted, or their turn doesn't go well, and they come home like, I don't want to go to soccer next week. This is too hard. It's too much. Or your kid it's like before bed and they're brushing their teeth and then they don't get the pajamas that they want and it is like a total freak out, right? There are a lot of parents that I work with who describe their kids this way. And I see it in my practice. In my private practice, I teach kids to read often. And often what I see is kids who, when they get to something they don't know, they just get this deep feeling of unease, like they don't want to try and they don't want you to see them fail. This is really symptomatic of a lot of kids here these days in the United States in 2022 going into 2023. And if that's your kid, as we go into this welcome winter break, what I want to encourage you to do is the one thing that could get them out of that, which I'll tell you what it is. So the first thing I want you to know is that anxiety, and I'm not talking about anxiety, capital A, diagnosis. I'm not a therapist and I cannot diagnose anything. I'm talking about anxiety as in general nervousness, the nervousness that we see in our kids, the worry that we see in our kids that leads them to crumpling up that paper or closing the book or freaking out about soccer or. So that anxiety, what anxiety is not knowing what's going to happen and not trusting our own ability to respond to what is happening, not knowing what's going to happen and not trusting our own ability to respond. Nobody knows what's going to happen, right? None of us do. So the only thing that we can work on is our own ability to respond to what is happening and allowing our kids the chance to trust in themselves to respond to the stimulus in the world. Their distrust in themselves, their worry of what if I can't handle this, is the cause of all of these symptoms that we're seeing, this overwhelming epidemic of childhood anxiety that is going on right now, especially for elementary age kids. I say especially for elementary age kids because that's who I work with, but even as I said that, I was like, no, this is true for middle schoolers and high schoolers too. So, okay, especially in elementary age kids though, from what I've seen. How do we fix this? This is a result of kids not trusting their own ability to respond. So how we fix this is showing them and giving them the opportunity over and over and over again to trust in themselves and to know that they've got their own back. How do we do that? I tell them all the time they could do it. I'm so calm when they're reading and I make sure that they're, that they're okay afterwards. And I tell them it's going to be okay. And I tell them I trust in them and I tell them that they can do anything. And that is all wonderful. Please keep doing it. And no one can teach you resilience. Resilience is learned from the inside out. Resilience is learned in your body internally, but it cannot be taught. So what I really recommend, and one thing that I would like to give you is permission for you to let your kids do something on their own that they choose that they weren't able to do or allowed to do before. One of my clients that I work with, we're working on this with her daughter, and she just told me that her daughter made her own lunch for school. And so she felt really proud of herself and she was excited to eat lunch. And it was this like very nice situation. And what that did for her was that allowed her to go from, oh my God, I don't know how to do something, to, oh, hey, I made my own lunch. that chest expanding feeling of, I can rely on myself. We're looking for opportunities for kids to say, hey, I can rely on myself. So, and another client that I worked with, her son was like extremely kind of like messy in the room. And so she told him, hey, you get to pick what's on your bookshelves. Like, I'm no longer, like organizing your bookshelves for you. And all of a sudden he kept his, with a few reminders, right? Like, we're all human, but he kept his bookshelves so much neater because he was in charge of keeping it organized. He knew where everything was. Another one of my clients, their daughter started making breakfast in the mornings. So how can we give our kids the opportunity to show them, hey, there are things that you can take care of on your own that are for you, that positively impact you and the people around you. So as we go into winter break, think about, what can I give my kid that allows them to build their own sense of independence? Because resilience is learned, but it cannot be taught. So how can you create opportunities for your child to learn their own resilience at home? Let me know how it goes.